So here is kind of the demo I'm going to give you guys for the first assignment. So we ran out of time last class. I was going to do it then, but you can just watch these videos and I'll kind of go over the basics. So when you get the assignment from Moodle, here are the basic directions. Hopefully all this stuff is pretty clear. Read through this, let me know if you have any questions. But basically you're going to be drawing a building in 1-point, 2-point, and 3-point perspective. Should be pretty straightforward, but hopefully a good, fun challenge for you guys. So also on Moodle are these buildings you can choose from. So there's a number of different buildings here. Some are super complicated like this one, and some are a little bit more simple. Okay, so I would say I'd rather you guys choose something simple and execute it really well rather than choosing something really complicated and struggling with it. So that would be my advice. Hopefully you can choose something that's kind of inspirational, maybe something that can give you some ideas for future projects. But again, there's a number of different options in here, so choose something that you'll have fun with. So I'm going to use this lighthouse here. So this is kind of what we'll start with. I'm actually just going to crop this image here. I don't need all this extra stuff there. All right, so this one's pretty simple for the most part. So you just kind of look at that and get a feel for these shapes. So what I would recommend doing first is you want to get a handle on the overall shapes that are on this building. And to do that, I would just kind of draw two flat views of this building, one from the front and one from the side, and kind of see how that goes. So right here we can see two sides of the building. So I can see this side right here as well as this plane right here. So this is kind of in 1-point perspective right now. We're looking at this front plane of it, and then here's the side plane as well. So this picture will kind of help me execute the 1-point, and it'll change as I do 2 and 3-point also. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of loosely sketch this kind of as just a schematic or a diagram here. This is just going to help you get used to this shape and kind of see the different shapes that make up this building. And this doesn't have to be super detailed again. If you were doing this for like a really long finished project, or to send to someone else if they were going to turn into a 3D model or something like that, you would want a ton of really careful details in here. But since it's for us, this is basically an exercise in practice. You can keep this a little bit looser and a little bit rougher. I'm just looking at where this little part of the top of the lighthouse, this is up on top of that little topper there. And again, you don't need to get into too many details here. I'm not going to worry about like the pattern and the texture here. That will come later when we kind of do the more finished version of this drawing. Something just about like that. We have a little, looking at that little gray section along the bottom as well. Okay, there's that one view, and now I want to sketch it flat from this side. So when you do that, you might have to invent some things because we don't, we're not able to walk around all these buildings and, see exactly what it looks like from every single angle. So you might have to invent some stuff. And if you invent some stuff, that's fine as long as it's based on closely what you may expect from that photo. I'm just kind of going to use this to line these up too. So that roof does overhang a little bit over the lower part of the building. Okay, so now here I got to kind of figure out what this is. I think there's a little tiny triangle right there in front, and it looks like this is about in the center of the roof there. So those are the kind of things I'm trying to closely approximate. You can even use that and line it up. So there it didn't quite line up, so I'm going to move it up a little bit. And this will come down to about there. And again, it's kind of hard to see windows and doors over here, but I'm going to kind of try and guess. It looks like there's 2 windows and a door possibly here in the middle. The little decorative element up on top. And it kind of looks like there's little stairs right there. So I'm going to maybe put 2 little steps that go up there. And then the little topper here. So again, some of you guys may, spend a lot of time with these kind of schematics. I'm kind of just going a little bit quicker. Keep it loose. Do what you think will be useful for you when you want to draw this in perspective. Alright, something about like that. There is no overhang up on here. Alright. I'm just going to call this the front since I see the front door there and this the side. Alright, so that will help me getting into the perspective of it. And when I, kind of have some questions of what do I put on this side, what do I put on this, what do I put on the front, what do I put on the side, I can refer back to these sketches I made. And eventually, we will want to get into some of those details of the windows. So if you have anything like that, you can kind of define what those windows may look like, as well as for the door. And again, you might need to exaggerate or invent or change things just a little bit for your drawing. So we're not copying this exactly. We're using these photos for close inspiration. We want to make the drawings very similar to that, but obviously some little things will change. Okay, so now that we kind of have that defined, the next step here is thumbnails. Thumbnails. Draw 3 thumbnails of the building from different perspectives. So let's just start with a 1 point, 2 point, and 3 point and kind of just sketch those all out and see how that goes. I'm just going to add a couple frames. Feel free to change these layers or rename your layers. Lock layers that you're done using so you're not drawing on the wrong layer. Okay, 1 point should be the most simple. So let's get a horizon line in there. When you're doing these in 1 point or as thumbnails, you can loosely kind of throw in some grid lines if you want. But everyone kind of does this a little bit differently. 1 point is the most simple. My photo here is in 1 point, so I'm just going to use that for some help there. And just keep it loose here. Excuse me. The next step of this will be more exact when we kind of do a finished line drawing on it. You know, and I like putting it on these rocks because then I don't need to worry about drawing perspective as rocks. You don't really need to draw a background in here, but you can suggest a little bit of background if you like. So feel free to change up that frame as you work. Draw outside your frame. Don't be constrained by it. Let that change. Okay. So that 1 point was pretty simple. I could kind of base it closely on what that photo is. Now let's do 2 point. So you have an option where you want that horizon line to be. Do I want to put it up higher on the building? You know, the horizon line could be a high eye level where it's up here at the tower, or a lower eye level there as well. That's kind of up to you. What would I like to do? Let's put this lower, so kind of a low angle. So remember that 2 point is where that front edge is, that first thing we draw. So this is a relatively simple shape there. So this is a cube here. We got kind of a pyramid on top, and this is basically a cylinder here for the tower. So I know one vanishing point is going to be way over here somewhere. The other one will be way over there somewhere. So when we do the more finished drawing, that's when we'll put in those vanishing points. But again, this is just to kind of figure out the overall shape there. Okay, so now this tower, I can refer back to my sketch there. It's off to the side. Ellipses. So this is, I'm going to kind of treat this as a cylinder right there. A little topper right there on the pitch of the roof. And always work from big shapes to small shapes. When we're doing the more technical drawing, that's really going to be important. Just getting those big shapes in there first. So we mentioned that during class. If you get the big shapes in there, it's a lot easier to add in the smaller shapes like windows, smaller details, texture and pattern, things like that. So this has that low horizon line, so I'm looking up on everything. So I'll see the underside of this roof. We'll see the underside of the wraparound up there on the tower, looking up on those windows on the tower. Okay. I'm just going to make this all a little smaller so I have a little bit more room to work with. Oops. Okay. Now the 3 point. The fun, tricky, exciting 3 point perspective. Just need a little bit more space in this document here. Okay, so I have to decide if I want to be looking up or looking down on this lighthouse. So I'm going to choose looking up. You know, I want to make this tower feel tall, feel impressive, feel massive, towering over the camera and over the viewer there. So, like I said, when I'm doing these sketches for thumbnails, I will just like very, very loosely throw in some 3 point perspective lines. I'm assuming and kind of imagining that my vanishing point's way up there. But I just want to do this and kind of loosely imagining my vanishing points are there and there. I just want a little bit of grid like there so I can start to envision that three-dimensional space. Okay, so it's going to be similar to that 2-point. There's a front edge facing us there. And now I'm just going to kind of fill in and get that main cube of the building. Okay. I can draw through this cube as well to help me figure out where the middle of that roof is going to be. So I'm looking at the top there, the center of that I just drew an X, and so now help me get that pitch of the roof there. And again, even though we're kind of treating that tower as a cylinder, if you want to draw it as a cube first, that can definitely be helpful. That's up to you if you want to go straight to the cylinder. Some people, it's easy to draw kind of those rounded shapes. Other people, it's helpful to draw everything as cubes first and then round stuff off as you need. So we're really like looking at the underside of this here. It's floating in the air right now as we speak, but I'm going to just kind of add some rocky texture there at some point. So it feels like it's sitting on that rocky cliff side. Windows, okay. I like to add those little waves and stuff in there. Okay. So it may take you a few times to do these different thumbnails to kind of get that figured out. But just, loosely sketching in those grids is going to help a lot to help you just kind of place the building in that perspective. So all the verticals here are vertical in the 2-point, but all the verticals here, they recede to that vertical vanishing point. All right, so I'm going to stop the video here, and then I'll do the more finished versions of these drawings, but we're going to basically just kind of blow up these thumbnails and then do more finished line drawing on top of it.